So let's start off with the first item, and that is your monitor. Almost 60% of every Steam user has his primary monitor, which is a 1080p panel. However, sadly, Steam doesn't actually tell me how much the refresh rate is. However, by Googling, the best I can get, the average refresh rate gamers use is 144 Hz. However, there are some people who still use 60 or 75 Hz monitors. And because you're playing CS, high refresh rate is something very important. Ideal, I would say 240 would be the best thing to get, since the jump from 144 to 240 is still very noticeable. After that, if you are already at 240, doing a jump to 360 isn't really going to be such a big experience. And by opening up Amazon and just typing in 1080p monitor, because the average graphics card everyone uses is still a 360 with 8 gigs of VRAM, that is why we are gonna stay at 1080p. But as you can see, by just entering a 1080p monitor, we are able to buy a decent monitor for around 100 to 200 euros that can easily go over 144 Hz. And I have to emphasize this again, people who are not on 144 Hz, you should upgrade right now, because going to a high refresh monitor will instantly feel so much better, trust me. Then the next upgrade you should really consider is getting a good headset with a proper mic attached to it. Look, everyone is talking about having a separate headset and a separate mic. Yes, if you're doing content creation, that is the best way to go. However, if you're simply just a gamer and want to clearly hear where the enemy is coming from and be able to communicate that to your teammates, a normal gaming headset is going to be just fine. And to be honest, going wireless, you don't really have to do that. Yes, these headsets are very cool, they have a long battery life, however, it isn't really a requirement in my opinion. I personally use the Razer Blackshot V2 Pros from 2023, since they have an excellent mic quality and very good audio quality. However, by going with the wired one, you will be saving a lot of money. I've also heard a lot of good things from HyperX and the LG brand. For example, the Logitech G Pro X's are a good choice in my opinion. However, if I recall, the microphone isn't as good as the Razer ones. And the reason why I'm emphasizing headset this much is because I've done a video about audio in CS, and it is very important, because if you have clear audio, you can really abuse that, so the enemy might actually think you're cheating. And the next upgrade I'm gonna put together, it's the mouse and keyboard combo, since those are the things that use to put an input into the game. And starting off with the keyboard, everyone talks about wooting, and yes, that is true, it is a very good keyboard. Everyone talks about the switches being amazing, and I can agree to that. But if you're someone on a budget, remember, never go for membrane keyboards. Try to find a keyboard that has